Hi Aries, welcome to the full moon in Gemini reading for November 27th, 2023. Full moons close out cycles, so we're closing out the new moon that we had previously. So if you can remember some of that, it could be the cycle that you're closing out now. Or it could be one that is 3 cycles ago, because I have the number 3 here. But 3 is always a creative number. It's the Trinity, right? So there's something quite special about it, I think. It is creativity. So we're closing out a cycle here. There's probably a larger cycle for you closing out. And the good news is the direction the reading is going in is increase. So that's usually wealth of some kind. It can be healthy wealth, or it can be financial wealth, it can be mental health wealth, but is increase. So that's really nice. Maybe it comes from your creative endeavors because of the number 3. So maybe you've been working on something for a few weeks, or, like I said, maybe even the past 3 months, 3 years, 3 weeks. But the number 3 really comes in here. So, and that's the direction the reading's going in. However, your focus for the next 2 weeks is the moon. So that's intuition, secrets, dream world, instinct, hidden cycles. That's what the card reads. For me, the moon is very much about the subconscious. In this card, they say the dream world and the intuition, which I think are closely associated because we deal with most of our life from the subconscious, right? We don't have to constantly instruct ourselves on how to brush our teeth. Comes automatic. A lot of things do, and so they're in the realm of the subconscious. But when you are dreaming, or when you're even daydreaming, that is the subconscious, that is the dream world, and we're feeding it. The moon can also be things that feel elusive, or we can't quite put our finger on something. It kind of brings a high strangeness with it. It can be a little bit strange, but there may be something hidden, something you're not seeing clearly, completely with the moon. It is your intuition as well. It is associated with Pisces, so that's Neptune, right? And that can be escapism, but I don't really feel that here so far, especially with that increase cycle. In fact, with the increase in the moon, you could have increasingly intuitive insights or epiphanies. You may be able to manifest quite quickly when you have these two, so do be careful about what you are worried about. Or what you're thinking about, rather, because if there's worry and you're putting a lot of energy and effort into that, I don't think that's wise. Always, always put into your thinking where you want things to go. So if you see something negative or shadowy or even something that you don't quite understand, it's a good idea to move your thoughts in the direction that you want things to go. Well, with some energy, right? With some emotion, emoting. And that's another thing about the moon. There can be a lot of moodiness, emotional energy. But again, you have the increase card, so that is very positive for me. All right, let's lay out your cards. Again, the first column is, well, the moon, is what the full moon is closing out for you, what cycle is leaving you, and that's a good thing with the moon there, things that are leaving and things that you're finishing up. And also where you find yourself at the time of the new moon. The center column is you and how you deal with the whole situation. So already you have 2 major arcana as as your headliners, let's say. And then the last column is for how things will probably and most likely turn out. The largest potential as where you are standing now, what you're thinking, what you're believing, what's happening in the subconscious, obviously, because the moon is really pointing to that twice here. So let's see. The moon card and the Five of Cups. So yeah, there can be this moodiness that you find yourself in at the beginning of the full moon. There may be some regrets or even some grief that you could be going through, or something that maybe you don't understand about your emotions. Maybe you're feeling emotions and you don't know why. That's also with these two cards, because that moon is just something that is unclear. Maybe you're combing our emotions to try and figure out what that may be. The Five of Cups is kind of looking at what has, it's looking at the more negative side of the situation. Yes, the Three Cups have spilled. Yes, there can be regrets and that sort of thing, but you still have two standing. And again, like I said, with the subconscious, with the idea of quick manifestation, you want to keep your thoughts where you want things to go. The moon, the dogs bark at the moon, but there's really nothing scary about the moon. And it's just that something is not understood, right? The dogs don't understand the moon or the emanations or the vibrations that come from. In this case, this is an eclipse, but in any case, the planetary alignments and the pull that it has, in this case, on our emotions with that Five of Cups. So I think you're trying to clear up some emotional grievances that you may have, some regrets that you may have, some things that didn't quite go well and you don't know where they're going to go. But again, you have the manifestation card. So it's really important for you to be aware of your concept of what you want to happen. The magician is, it is manifestation, but it's also being aware of what you want to manifest, being conscious of it. So this is your concept, your vision for what you want to, how you want to move forward. And it is solar energy, which is the opposite of that lunar energy. So for me, it really feels like this is bringing a situation to a close where you may not have felt like you knew what was going to transpire. You couldn't see the path 100%. And in a way, it's like you are being given the opportunity to pave your own way with the Magician card in this case, right? We don't see it clearly, what is laid out before us, and so let's create our own pathway. And every decision that you make should be checked against that initial vision, that initial concept that comes with the Magician card. It's a very solar energy, a very male, outgoing energy, and it's the will, right? This card is I will, or I am, but I will, right? I will something to happen. And it is very possible that up until this full moon, you may not have quite understood what that could have been, right? Maybe you didn't know what direction you wanted to go, or you didn't know where this path was going to lead you. And all the things that transpired to create this opening for this new path, right? That Five of Cups, the things that didn't go right. And it's very possible that if you are overly concentrated on what didn't go right, then you're just going to create more of that. And that's kind of not the direction that we want to go. So we have to sort of be very aware of our intention here and the emotion we're putting behind that intention. Because if you want something, you have to generate the energy for it, right? That's what the magician is doing. It's like an electric bolt that comes down, or he's actually generating it, right? He's the one that's generating it, but he is also the he's also the conduit, okay? So his physical body is the conduit. His awareness is the conduit. I have become aware of this thing that I want to do, but maybe I don't know quite how to get there or what the path is, that sort of thing with that moon card. And it can bring up some moodiness or emotional energy. But I do think that that magician kind of breaks through that energy and gives us a clearer vision. So that's kind of what's being closed out from the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 years, 3 months, something like that, with that 3 cycle going on there. And it feels like there is an increase of energy, an increase of light, right? Light is energy. So the magician kind of comes to make you aware of something that you may have been feeling unsure about, so that it can be, so that the shadow dissipates, right? So that we see things clearly. So we understand the situation with the magician card, because it is very solar energy, and it tells you what you're aware of and what you want. Okay. So indeed, it's a great time to envision and understand and create concept and a vision about where this path, where you want to take this remaining energy, right? And where you want to focus it. This is skill. This is mastering a skill, but it's awareness. You've become aware of something. It's kind of like, oh, I want to be a doctor, right? Because I want to be a psychologist, let's say, or a psychiatrist, or someone in that sort of field, so that I can help to understand why I'm a moody person, why other people are, what is it that, to overcome any fears or deep subconscious energy. It's that kind of thing. Through the path or through this difficulty, we become aware of something, and we can master our fears, maybe, right? Master our emotional instability, because we've become aware of it with the magician. Okay, enough about that. The center card's really nice because you have the star card here, and the seven of wands. For me, that really has a feeling of because you have a higher perspective, and if you don't, you should get one, then things are kind of under a lucky star. You can look forward to something in the future. But that Seven of Wands is saying you are on a higher plateau here. You think differently. You think on a higher level. Even with that star card, the star is right has a different perspective. It's up in the sky. You can overlook things, right? So there's this sort of different perspective. But the future looks very positive when the star card appears. And we feel like we could be being led to where we need to go, or to the situation that will help us out of this energy that that is sort of competitive, or these are the people, the situations, whatever, that are trying to knock you down from your loftier heights, from your higher perspective, your higher vision. And it seems to me like you have some help when the star card appears, and that can be celestial help, that can be the planets, right, that are supporting you, can be something beyond that. There is a bit of vulnerability where the star card is concerned. It's kind of like you have to have faith and trust that the future will be good, or faith and trust in where you're being led, because the star leads us somewhere, right? And it is associated with Aquarius, so for me that has a lot to do with information, and maybe even information through technology, or just the willingness to share knowledge or to receive information. Because what is available to one person is available to everyone. And our experiences that we have go into the big pool of experience, and people can draw upon that information. by posing a question and being still and allowing and being receptive to information that comes your way. Right? If there is competition, though, it is those loftier, higher ideals that will help you to win out of a situation. With that, I have the Knight of Wands. Yeah, there's definitely information. The Knight of Wands for me is the messenger card. And he brings with him rather excitable energy and sometimes erratic. But in this case, I think it's pretty good. It may be something that kind of shakes you up a little bit, right? The Knight is coming in. He's a little bit fiery, some erratic energy. Sometimes this can be a bit of a playboy, but I don't really see this right now as a romantic reading. The Knight for me is just information, and it goes well with the Star card. So the Seven of Wands is maybe through information that you receive, you have like a level up, you have a higher perspective. Maybe you come across something in a journal or a book or podcasts or something that kind of lightens your thinking, changes your perspective, brings you to a loftier place. And this can get exciting because remember, the Knight of Wands, fire is passion, right? The Wands is passion. It's that inner spark. And so something sparks something, and it's something towards the future with that Star card. So I do feel like that's information that comes in that sparks and ignites. It sparks and ignites something deep within you. Now, this can come from a Page of Cups, which is my Pisces card. So you have Pisces on either side of the star. Now, with the number 3 in the cycle, this can be something around the time of March, where you will find an increase, maybe, or because with the Star card, it's more towards the future, and we are looking at a 3 cycle, right? And Pisces on either side. So that could be around the time of March that you are moving towards something, or maybe when things start to take off. Now, if you are working with cycles and you are here with the 3 cycle card here underneath, springtime is the time to plant seeds, right? In the winter, we allow we're more receptive at that time, right? So that's the point where you can relax and let ideas kind of come in, and it's more dream work. Think about a bear, right? Who's hibernating, and it's lower activity. So in the springtime, it can be something that you're doing, and in the meantime, you're gathering information, especially with that Knight of Wands card. So there can be a gathering of information that really helps to propel you into the future. Now, the 5 of Wands can be conflict and agitation, and this can be internal or it can be with somebody. And the Page of Cups could be somebody who could give you a bit of a run for your money. Page of Cups, Pisces. They are creative, so that goes very well with that number 3, and March is the 3rd month. They can be a bit naive, and they can be quite emotional, and that goes along with the moon as well. There can be some insecurities there, and these insecurities may pop up. And again, this can be you or it can be with somebody else, but it feels like there's this group dynamic with the 5 of Wands, where it could interfere, because 5 is about change, and you have 5 on either side. You have the 5 of Cups, which is emotional instability, and some passionate instability with that 5 of Wands there. So that's agitation and conflict, but that can be either internal, but it can still be caused by somebody, or it can be somebody within a group situation. Now, 5 is very often about recreational activities. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. So maybe there are some activities that that you are dealing with that are going through some big changes. And even if it's not, let's say it's work, although I don't see that particularly here, I think it's quite general, this. I don't really see a something specific, but let me have a quick look here. I'll pull one more card. Can be finances. But it can also be because the Two of Pentacles is like multitasking. And so maybe you have to deal with work and you have to deal with outside activities and that sort of thing. You could be spreading yourself a little bit thin with the Two of Pentacles. But it can also be like financial. So where do I invest my money? Do I take something from one bank account and put it into another? Trying to even and balance out your finances as well as your physical capabilities. So if you haven't been feeling well, trying to find equilibrium there. If there's an imbalance in your body, right? Two is always dualism. It's dualistic energy. It's this or that, right? And in this case, you're trying to balance this and that. So, and this can cause a bit of moodiness, and I do see moodiness here for sure. The waters behind the Two of Pentacles are pretty choppy. There's a bit of a roller coaster ride, and you have two fives, and five is definitely the roller coaster ride. So that might have something to do with it as well. But it is a multitasking card, and it is Two of Pentacles really asks you to deal with your challenges with a light heart, right? Juggling is a fun activity. So that's where this is leading. And we're heading out of a difficult situation. And I think part of that has a lot to do with your emotional state. And also just trying to find equilibrium there. I mean, how you're seeing it is the Star card. So you're definitely looking towards the future. You're definitely feeling like there can be a hope, right? There's still something good to be had here through this emotional difficulty and not being able to see exactly where you're headed. And that can absolutely cause some insecurities. That's understandable. But I think you're going to, maybe one of the things you're learning is to find balance. Because it seems to me that's where it's leading. To kind of lay down the emotional and the insecurities that you feel, the emotional insecurities. I do want to say emotional, which causes like this energetic upheaval within your physical body, right? Because it kind of like fans the flames with that Five of Wands and the Knight of Wands. And you are learning how to find balance and to indeed be more hopeful and interestingly enough, looking for the signs, right? We're looking for signs here. We're looking for the star that we can follow. And Pisces and the moon are very much about those kind of ethereal things. If you're not the Page of Cups, then you're dealing with somebody who is trying to maintain physical and emotional equilibrium in a moment of deep subconscious fears or things that are not clear. They're just not laid out. We just don't know what's beyond the horizon, right? We don't know what goes on behind the hill or the plateau here. So, but we're positive about it, and I like that with the Star card. There's a feeling of positivity. So we're moving away from this, but it doesn't mean we don't get excitable, right? It doesn't mean that when we are faced with that challenge or that internal agitation, that we don't feel challenged, but the idea here is to maintain equilibrium. So I think what I'm going to ask Spirit is how then, or what is the best way for you to maintain this equilibrium? Now, one thing that I'm getting immediately is to be more physical, right? With that Five of Wands, it's kind of like use up that imbalanced energy. Use it up. Do something. Even that Two of Pentacles is juggling. And to be quite honest with you, that's actually a really good activity to do when you feel agitated or in an emotional spot, because you're doing something, but you have to pay attention when you're juggling, right? You have to, and you're using both sides of the brain. You're using both the right and left. It's good for your brain, but it's also an activity that will get you out of that space of agitation or instability, right? It gets your head out of it and your emotions. It brings back some emotional balance as well. What does Spirit want you to know? You have the Lovers, so commitment. Discord, which is what you're going to see here. And the commitment can be the Star card even. But there is an increase in something, and I think it can be finances, because we are only dealing with Two of Pentacles here. And so maybe you don't know where your next, what you're going to do. Maybe you're trying to figure out where your talents can best be used for the good of humanity. And I say that because the Star card is altruistic. It's Aquarius, right? Aquarius isn't always worried so much about the individual as it is about the bigger picture, right? Humanity, not the person itself, but humanity, the bigger picture. So the Lovers is asking you to commit to something. Now we have partnership here, separation, choices, disharmony, crossroads. And for me, the Lovers is very much about a decision that needs to be made, right? You are at a crossroads, and the decision is between something loftier, higher-minded, right? The Star card, or something more mundane, and that would be the Two of Pentacles, right? It's more of just the physical, material problems that we have, or decisions that need to be made. Of course, the choice is always yours. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope this has been helpful. I will return in 2 weeks with a new moon reading, and I think you have a few things to bring to conclusion with this new moon, or full moon rather. Take good care. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.